We are filling up a float tank for the first time in the Zen offices. My name's Shane, one of the founders of Zen Float Co. And we got Mason here. What's your title? Your title's awesome.
Main dude in charge.
Main dude in charge.
Zen guru, depends on the day.
Ninja.
Yeah.
Go with Zen Guru.
Zen guru.
Zen guru.
Yeah.
Cool. So we are setting this up so all the employees can float in our office. It's going to be awesome. If you want to film over here, we're getting a shower put in. Sean tore down the wall yesterday. I don't think there's even, is there lights? So this is going to be where our shower is, right after the float. Work in progress. Like I said, we're filling up a float tank, so we figured we would just do it live and explain what's going on. So, let me know if I miss anything, Mason, but first things first, you get your heater pads on the ground. You get them in the right place, in the perfect place, because if they're not in the perfect place, there is no moving them once there's water in them. So you put your heater pads, get those in the perfect place, get your drip mat. The drip mat is just, naturally it's for drips, but when you're in and out of a tank, water tends to kind of splash and it will roll down and go to the drip mat much better than carpet or whatever floor you have. So get your heater pads in the right place, your drip mat in the perfect place. You're going to assemble your tent up to this point. We pulled this out of Sean's house, but you're going to assemble it to the point without the cover. Make sure you put on your structure strap. This keeps the legs together. It's down here.
There is a right way to put that on, so.
Yeah.
Well, an easier way.
Yeah.
More convenient.
Should I explain? I guess I could explain it.
Yeah, I'd like to know.
Okay.
Explain the structure strap.
Yeah, so put that in. So the structure strap is just, we found that in the beginning we didn't have a strap that bonded the two middle legs together, and we'd find that they'd bow out with all the water pressure. So we just made a strap that goes under the tank that connects them together, so no matter how much weight and pressure is there, the legs stay straight up and the frame stays straight up. But with the strap, it's just it's a strap with two, what do you even call them? Anyway, they're just two rings, and you put the heavier end of the ring down so that the strap can't push off and go under.
It's just two eyelets.
Yeah, two eyelets. That's a good term. And this is where we want. Oh, I know, Mason. You could explain the foot. Why have a foot around the tank?
Yeah, so there are a few reasons why you want to have a foot on each side, but he's kind of showing you why right now. You need to be able to walk on every side of the tent, because if you have an issue over here, you got to be able to get to it. So that's one reason, and then another reason is just for safety. There are a few electronics you got to have plugged into the wall, so it's always good to have room to get in there and have that spacing.
Oh yeah. So a lot of people, they're in tight spaces, and they think that, I'm just going to put it close to the wall, I'll be okay. When this tank is filled with water, you are not budging it at all. So if you decided to go close to the wall, and you're trying to get your cover on and off, and you left yourself a few inches, you're screwed, basically. So you got to have, at least 10 inches, but
Yep.
a foot's ideal.
And the same with the top too.
Oh
So you
yeah.
gotta have room at the top to get the top off.
Oh yeah.
So you want at least a foot on every.
So it's serious. Like a lot of people have a small room and they're talking about cramming it in. You got to have the space. You got to have a foot around and some space above. Let's get some water in it. So one of the things we include with every float tent is a carbon filter. What this does is it removes the impurities in the water, and when you add the Epsom salt, when you add the Epsom salt and you're mixing up your water, certain impurities in certain areas, I don't even know what it is, because I've had it happen to me before, but your water just goes orange from, I believe it's rusting, I believe it's iron in the water, yeah.
Iron.
So it'll be so weird, you'll fill up your tank, everything's good, a day later you come in and your water's orange. So we include this, so you don't have any orange water. So, if you'll come with me, I'll show you the carbon filter. It's really carbon. And we say run 5 gallons, but you basically run water through it until the color goes away. So I'll show you here. And if you can see that, you'll see the color in the water. There you go. You see that darkness? Yeah. I don't think it would hurt much if it was in there, but might as well start with clear water.
It's a good idea.
It's pretty clear to me.
So there's no amount of time. You're just running this until it's clear.
Yeah, we say 5 gallons, but
Depends, it's hard to tell when 5 gallons is up.
yeah.
And could that all be based on region too? I mean, you don't really know the regions of water quality, etc.
You know, the stuff is just coming out of here, so it should take the same amount. Is that what you're asking? Same amount of time?
Yeah.
Yeah, same amount of time. What's crazy though is certain places around the country you don't even need a water filter. You'll never have orange water, but I don't know how to measure iron in water. I guess.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't know.
I know there are test kits you can buy, but
Yeah.
All right, Max, can you hold this? I'll go flip it on.
yeah.
Make sure you have your hose in the in the tank well,
Thanks for your patience, people. We're getting there.
because water will go everywhere.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go turn it.
Okay. Too heavy? No, you're good.
Yeah, that's perfect.
No, you're fine. Alright. Full blast. Okay. So we have it coming out of our sink right now, but you can use it from any source, as long as you know it's fairly clean.
Right now I'm just kind of getting the creases out of the bottom. So what's weird is, as you add water, say you had a fold somewhere in the middle of the tank. Say you had a fold coming right across here and you started to get more than a few inches of water, it ends up being where you can't get a crease out. So as I'm filling, I'm just making sure that the space underneath is flat, partly because, I mean, you're going to touch the bottom now and then when you're floating. Not when you're laid out on your back, but when you're sitting up in there, kind of in and out of floats, you'll feel the bottom, so get rid of the creases. Oh, big one. Big one. These straps are for the filter. So we'll grab a filter bag here in a sec. These straps are over on the entrance of your tank because part of the maintenance of your tank now and then, is it monthly? Monthly a good rhythm?
Yeah.
So now and then you're switching out your filter bag, and you want it on this side because you're going to open up your door, you're going to quick disconnect your filter bag. I'll grab one in a sec. Pull it out, thread a new one in, connect it. If this ends up over there, I mean, you can make it work, but you're going to have to get in your tank to swap out filter bags.
Yeah.
So make sure these straps are over here.
One thing to know, yeah, it's okay. Since we've changed updated our water tank instructions, you're not going to want to change the filter bag every month. You're going to want to clean it every month. So you're going to clean it every month, and then it should last 3 to 4 months. So you'll clean it 3 or 4 times before you actually need to replace it, which is really good. Just warm soapy water, and then make sure to let it soak in clean water for a bit before you put it back in the tank, just so you don't have any soap residue in your water.
So, if you're just tuning in, we are filling up a float tank as far as we can go. It takes a couple hours, but we're going to go, I don't know, 45 in. Feel free to ask any questions live, and if we know that not everyone's going to watch this live, so if you ask questions when it's not live, we'll still answer them. So just ask away. I don't know if anything's popped up on the feed, but
Not yet.
okay.
Let me look on my other side and we'll see.
Me. There you go. I've mixed in so many tanks that sometimes I just freestyle it, but I really want to go by the instructions because it's the best way.
And these are the instructions that you'll receive in the package when you purchase a tent.
For sure. Alright, so, I know it's a mess.
We
Check out Mason's shoes.
might want to comment on these bright orange traffic stoppers
You'll
right
never
here.
lose me ever.
No.
Yeah, we always know where he is.
Yeah.
We have to wear glasses around him, which is a little weird, but it's
These are
cool.
my work shoes.
These are his hunting shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So this is our ruler. It's kind of DIY.
it's amazing.
Yeah, so it's got 9, 10, and 11 inches on it. So we're going to kind of guesstimate, I guess, where 5 inches is, about there. But you always want to have a ruler or something you can measure with handy. especially for your monthly maintenance when you need to top off your water.
Yeah.
You want to maintain that 10 inches. So
Good call.
yeah.
The worst with a float tent, and I've been through a lot of water changes and water care stuff. The worst thing you can do is let it slide, because recovering water is way, way, way harder than just maintaining water. So, I mean, you can recover water once the pH gets out of whack or gets a little funky, but the maintenance weekly is really easy. It's recovering that's a big job. So,
So
yeah,
go a little deeper about recovering water.
Yeah, so now and then, someone will just totally ignore a tank, a couple months, and all of a sudden their water level is dropping, and they're starting to get some crystallization, which means some salt bunching because there's not enough water in there. And it starts to smell a little funky. I would explain it like a gym locker.
Gym locker.
Just a touch funky. They're going to measure it, their pH is out of whack, their alkalinity is out of whack, and then begins the big task of dosing and trying to bring those levels in. But the levels play off each other, so I mean, I haven't recovered water in a while, but it's gonna take days and days of getting it back in line, because you're gonna get one thing right and the other thing's off, and back and forth and back and forth. But
It'll definitely fluctuate. One thing to keep in mind while you are trying to recover your water is to maybe think about doing like a system shock to the water. So if you, like the hydrogen peroxide. So if you use, let's say an ounce or two of 35% a week, you're maybe going to want to times that by 6 or 7. So you'll add maybe 6 or 7 ounces to the water to shock it back into normal cleanliness and clean out all the gunk. So that's always something to keep in mind.
Hey dude, I just thought of one important thing we were going to mention. You got to make sure your poles are off the heater pads. I mean, if you put your tank and the foot's on one of the pads, it's just going to push into the radiant, heating material, so it could damage it. So you just want to keep the poles, the feet off the heater pads.
So we do have a comment from Frank. He said he was an original funder, excuse me. So he actually has the first model, but due to space constraints, I never had set my tank up. Is it possible to switch out or upgrade to a newer design parts? And if so, how do I work with ZenFloat to do that?
Perfect.
This
Mason
is actually
can run this.
Great question
Your
for
guy.
Mason.
The
Yeah,
Ninja.
so Ninja. So all of our upgrades are designed to fit with the 1.0.
Yeah.
So if you have the first version, the Kickstarter version, all the upgrades that the 1.5 has now, you can use on your tent. We have different packages on our website.
What's the page? Is it just in the shop?
It's in the shop.
Okay, so I don't know if everyone's familiar, but we're now on 1.5.
Yep.
So yeah, with the 1.0, you'll buy a 1.5. There's a full upgrade. You'll get a cover, an extra pump. No? What is it? I
You
can't.
get the extra pump, the pump straps, the controller, the GFCI unit.
Okay, to get it to a 1.5.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
So yeah, definitely, it's worth the upgrade too. One of the things that we changed on the cover is the 1.0. There's a cover that comes down on the inside, and it comes into the tub. That way, any condensation flows back into the pool. What we did on 1.5 is magnetize those flaps, so those jump. I mean, there's magnets on both sides, so they jump to the outside, and it keeps the flaps so there's even more flow space. So instead of the 2-3 inches of flap, it's all the way to the edge. So
And less of a distraction when you're floating.
yeah, it's just
Totally.
it's better for sure.
So I hope that answers your question, Frank.
Yeah.
And feel free to send Mason any emails,
Yeah,
any future
totally.
questions that you have. And we have one more from Monty Thompson. He
Yeah.
says, "Is there any issue with mold under the tank?"
Underneath?
I haven't had any.
Specifically underneath? Is that what
Specifically underneath.
I've never seen it.
You'd have to have water.
Yeah, you would have to have water sitting under there and not know it.
Yeah.
And
You'd have to
if
have
everything is set up correctly,
no, you
if
go ahead.
everything is set up correctly, you shouldn't have any water leaking out of anywhere. So, one thing to keep in mind is these flaps right here. These are the drip flaps. And when you're pulling your tank cover down, these can get pulled down and have condensation leak on the corners. So if you are setting up your tent, just make sure to pull those up and then pull the cover over and keep them up. You might need to go in the tent after you have the top on to make sure they're in the upright position. But yeah, as long as you have those drip flaps in the right place and everything is secure, you shouldn't have any mold growing underneath.
Yeah, it'd have to be like a weird, like a carpet situation with leaking
Yeah.
water, and it would take some time.
Yep.
I want to mention, so I've owned a hot tub, of course I own a float tent, and just if you've ever maintained a hot tub, it's way easier to maintain a float tent because salt's sterile for water. So honestly, in maintaining both, a hot tub takes a lot of effort, and it can go south fast. Tanks are pretty smooth and steady of water maintenance.
Yeah, for sure.
Honestly, and I'm not the king of water maintenance, and I can definitely maintain a float tent. So
If you are having those issues, though, please send me an email, and if you can, include a photo. I'd love to help you out with it if you are experiencing it, but you shouldn't in normal circumstances see any mold.
for sure, we could probably. I mean, so as far as the instructions, and it's almost there.
You want to measure it?
Yeah, you get up. This is a sweet measuring device.
That is Sean's.
It's like a chopstick or something.
Yes.
Okay.
Other way.
That's custom. So 5, because it's not marked.
About
It's like
there.
3.
Yeah.
Anyway, let me grab some scissors. We got to mix in all of this salt. So we're talking 32 bags, 800 pounds. When you buy salt from us, we have the salt company Zen Float Salt. We're going to send you 850 pounds. So you're going to get 50 extra. This is for, you're going to get a year's worth out of your salt and mace. You can explain that. But every month you're going to be just taking a cup full and scooping it in to make sure your salinity's up.
Yep.
So, and you can explain on the...
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go get some
I'll drink
scissors.
some.
Okay, so the salt, our salt is fantastic. The quality is really great. It's pharmaceutical grade, so it's the highest grade quality possible.
USP.
It's USP grade. Yeah, and then these handles are so great too. When you're lifting, like bags are like they hurt your hands sometimes when you're lifting, but with the handles, they're so nice to lift. One thing about the salinity, he mentioned a little bit. You're going to be adding about a cup each time you do your maintenance, but you will get a hydrometer with the purchase of the tent. You're going to get that hydrometer, so you'll be able to test your salinity.
Got the whole bagger. These are 25-pound bags.
Yep.
We say to work in 100-pound increments, so we're going to pour in 4 right now and start mixing. I'm going to go grab a hydrometer to show them.
Okay. We're doing it a little bit easier than Shane's normal way. He likes to use his car keys to open these bags, so we got the scissors.
We can talk a little smack if he's not in the room.
Yeah, as long as he's not here.
We're allowed. And the voice behind the camera, don't worry, I'll introduce myself soon. So we did get a thank you from Frank and Monty. You both are very welcome. And again, just to follow up, if you have any questions or any concerns, any fact-finding, please feel free to answer Mason. It's definitely the reason why we call him the Zen Guru.
So I can hear you talking crap.
Just a little.
In the warehouse.
Just sort of.
Alright. This is the hydrometer. So this measures the gravity of your water. What's cool is we've made it easy because you used to get some sort of hydrometer, scoop it up, take the reading, figure it out. But you could have some variation in your gravity level, you could say. So we ended up calling that little area that it's good the float zone. So I don't know if you can read that or get in close enough. All you have to do is get the dial in the float zone. So what you do is you fully compress it. Hold it up, vertical. Right now, the meter, I mean, we're way low. There's no salt mixed in this water, hardly at all. It's going to take all 800 pounds to get it clear up into the high end of the flow zone, but it makes it super easy. You don't have to be a scientist to maintain your life.
And this is something that's going to come with every package, correct?
Yeah, every package. Water maintenance. Oh, this is a small bummer, but it's no big deal if you know it's coming. When you first get your tank, you're going to do exactly what we're doing, set it up, and the bummer is you're not floating the exact day you set up the tank because our heater pads, they're super efficient and they heat the water 1 degree an hour, and by the time we're done mixing, it's going to be probably just shy of 60-degree water, pretty chilly. So it's going to take, to get up to 93.5, 33 hours. So you're floating the next night or whatever. But what was a bummer is, and when I built my first float tank, I really believed once I mixed the salt in, like I was going to be floating shortly after. It takes time.
Yeah.
It's a slow, the heat, it's just a slow process.
Now, I have heard of people floating in cold water. Is that something you've ever tried?
Ugh.
I would not.
I don't have it in me to even take like a cold shower, and I've been told that that's amazing.
Yeah. That doesn't sound like something that would be good for me, but I'm sure there's something
I've heard
out
it's
there.
good for energy levels, actually. And that new Anthony Robbins Netflix, you saw that?
Yep.
I'm Not Your
I'm not
Guru.
your guru.
He gets in that cold shower.
Dude.
I thought about it. Or it's a cold pool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
He jumps in, submerses himself,
I'll start that.
and it's an instant wake up.
I think that'd actually be cool. Something about the cold shower. I don't know. Jumping into a pool would be easier. Hey, where this?
So we have a comment from Ty Joe. He said, was just checking the website. Want to thank you guys for the veteran discount.
Yeah.
I've been floating at a local place and completely sold on the benefits. Looking to purchase one of yours for my home soon.
How cool, man.
Awesome.
Well, thanks for your comment, Joe. We really appreciate that. And then, like we said earlier, if you have any questions or any comments, any fact finding, please get a hold of Mason.
Yeah, it's good you brought up the veteran discount.
Oh,
too,
totally.
'cause It's always running. We never take the discount down. And it's 20% off the tent, so it's a pretty good discount. Let me know if you have any questions about it.
I mean,
All you need is your troop ID.
yeah, and I think we have the sites linked up, don't we?
Yep.
One of the big things, and I know this from anxiety and panic, but I mean, they are making huge progress in proving the benefits of floating in PTSD. So we know a lot of war vets have PTSD, so it's actually a really killer therapy.
Yeah.
Michael Harding, in my book, he's PTSD war vet out of Australia, and floating has changed his life, made him more calm, his life more peaceful. He speaks in front of big groups, and he's totally calm and cool. And when you read his story, it's like he was in a bad way for a while, but he's doing so much better now. I just saw him at the Float conference, like a month ago.
Up in Portland.
Yeah,
Is that a month?
yeah.
So he relates a lot of his calming and the lessening of the effects of the PTSD to floating.
Yeah, a lot of it. He needed a lot of therapies, and you can read about it in the book, but floating has been so huge for him. Him and his wife float constantly, and they have a tank in their home. So, pretty cool.
What do you think we're at as far as the water goes?
Have you been counting? That's like easily 2 or 3. I'll keep mixing. We can probably just cut and mix and cut and mix.
Okay. Do you want me to cut the water?
So another great
I'll
question.
mix for a while if you want.
Is there a way to mix the salt easier?
Hell yeah. So I've mixed so many tanks. There is one really easy way, but not everyone has one. Have you ever heard of a sump pump?
Yeah.
Okay, so sump pump is like these pumps that you get when there's a flood, and you set them down. They're connected to a hose, and they evacuate the water fast. If you don't put a hose on a sump pump, it's just like a water-powered jet. Plug it in, and you stick the sump pump in, and it just jets and moves the water around, and it mixes in salt so fast and effortless. If you have an extra, I think they're 35 on Amazon, it speeds it up a ton, but a lot of people are going to want to do it this way, so. But yeah, sump pump, dude, it is awesome. Ooh, it's cold.
How many bags in are you?
I don't know. I think 2 more. I think
2
I
more?
did 50.
Okay.
I'm not sure on that. Oh, do we still have water running?
No.
Okay. Scared the crap out of me.
If we can do this, we can definitely do it.
If I can do this, you can definitely do this.
Just gonna enjoy being warm over here.
Yeah. Kinda cool.
I will say it makes me want to get in right now.
Oh, it's
You're more than welcome to.
yeah. Hey, that would be cool. Freezing cold.
Yeah.
Well, if you're just tuning in, we are mixing a Zen float tent, mixing 800 pounds of salt, Epsom salt into the water. Just showing that process live. I don't think we're going to be able to finish. It's a couple-hour process, but we're showing the first part. So if you're just tuning in, that's what we're up to.
So just to review then, how long does it take for it to heat up?
1 degree an hour. And the reason it's designed like that is it's not a crazy fast system. It's not like a commercial heating and cleaning system. It's designed for home use and it's designed to be efficient. So we didn't overpower the heaters. We just powered them enough to do the job and run super efficient. Because I mean, this thing, your heater pads are on all the time, even when you're floating. They're totally silent.
So they'll stay constant at that temperature.
Yeah, and what's cool is when you get a float tank, some people, like myself, I'm just a little hot-blooded, a little warmer, I don't know what it is, but I like my tank to be down, to feel like skin temperature for me, I bring my tank down to 92.5.
Really?
Yeah, whereas if you go to a center, usually they have a couple like degree variations, but it might be warmer, might be cooler, so it's nice to tune it in. If you're really into it, tuning it in is awesome.
Every time I went, it was warmer.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan. Sometimes you have to prop the door open.
I think
That's what I ended up doing.
Yeah, I think what a lot of times happens at float centers is people go in with expectations of a soothing, warm bath, not realizing that it's all about this sensory deprivation experience. You don't want to feel the water,
Yeah.
but I think they tune it a bit touch warm, or maybe more people are cold-blooded. I don't know. Thanks for all the help.
You're welcome.
How am I doing?
So now just to ask again, how often do you have to change the water?
Nice.
It's a tricky one. It's going to be different for everybody. It's the easy answer. The hard answer is depending on your maintenance and how often you're checking everything and making sure all the levels are correct.
Showering beforehand?
Yeah, showering, making sure you're clean, making sure your pumps are running correctly. Can last about 1.5 years.
Yeah, I've heard people going 2 year.
2 years, yeah. Definitely 2 years. But that goes with really good maintenance. So something that a lot of people don't understand is when you get this thing, it's like a hot tub or anything else. You've got to maintain it.
Yeah, or don't get it. Seriously.
Yeah.
You got to be ready to maintain the water.
It's a commitment. So, but if you do everything the way you're supposed to and you don't slack on it, it's a lot easier to maintain than to rebuild, like we talked about.
For sure. Recovering water is hard.
Yeah.
So you mentioned showering before. Can you elaborate a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, you're showering to get all the dead skin off. You're showering to get a lot of the oil off your skin, any dead hair, not dead hair, but any hair that's fallen out. Just things like that, because the hair will get in your pumps and it'll clog the pump up. You might notice like an oil on top of the water if you don't shower.
Oil's the problem, really.
Oil
starts to.
and then you'll get dead skin flakes in the water.
So now, what about like a specific shampoo or something to help strip oils?
Very good to strip oils. We don't have a specific shampoo yet, but honestly, the people who get the longest use out of their water, they never ignore that you gotta wash before you get in. Just like a center, you wash before you get in the water. A lot of people are just like, I'm clean enough. They hop in, and their friend floats, and whoever else floats, and then that little change is gonna make your water go not as long, I guess you could say. Cut down the water length.
Just because you're family doesn't mean you can flow without.
Yeah.
So we got a comment from Dan D, and he just said, "Good to see you."
It's good to see you too, Dan. You want me to
So
mix?
as you can see, slowly but surely working on getting that salt in. It is a process, but well worth it in the end.
Yeah. It's kind of fun too. I know when it's your tent, it's like the most exciting time ever. You're getting in the zone and you're excited, and it's yours, and you can float whenever you want, however long you want, and it's fun, man. The hardest part is once the salt's mixed in and you have to wait.
Yeah.
That's when it
The
gets.
anticipation is.
Yeah.
It's when you start making that mental list of things that you want to think about.
Yeah.
Kind of like what we covered in our last live broadcast.
Oh, I should mention, and I mentioned it earlier, but if you have questions, even if you're tuning in and this isn't live, ask any questions and we'll answer them live or not.
So should we have a pad for insulation?
Oh, dude, great. There you go.
Yeah, you
Amazing
definitely want a pad for insulation.
Depends on the floor, honestly. If you're on carpet, do you need one?
I say always go with a pad. Always.
And why would you recommend that?
He's the customer service guy too, so.
No, he is right. You know, with carpet, you're gonna have the carpet and the carpet padding, and then floor. So, carpet might be okay without insulation, but you can tell it's just a lot goes into this. There's a lot of salt in there. There's a lot of water. So once it's there for at least a year.
Yeah.
So you don't want to run into a situation later that you can't fix.
Yeah, it's like safe to run a pad, and honestly, even if you didn't need the pad, your heaters will run less.
Yeah,
'Cause
it's just going to be
it's
more
an
efficient.
insulation from the cold ground.
Yep.
I mean, I had my float tank in my basement, and that cold cement, it makes the tank work a lot harder.
The problem is the pads are directly on the floor. So it goes the heater pads, the drip mat, and the tank. So the pads, if they're on concrete, it's going to suck the heat right from the pads. So that, I mean, it's just going to end up running the pads longer, harder, and it might end up costing you more per month.
Oh yeah, I'd say for sure.
So,
You're right, dude.
you know.
You're always right.
So it helps with maintenance, and it's also a little savings on the coinage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
You're pretty good, man.
Yeah.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. 18 or so.
We're making a dent, ladies and gentlemen.
Kind of along with the heater pads and the insulation and everything. So like here we have tile, but if you did have carpet or a different type of flooring, it might be a good idea to get like a bath mat for outside the door. This is where our door would be.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, so I would just put a bath mat right here, so when you step out, you're not getting, salt and water all over your carpet, and then have something like this by your tank. Put some towels in there, something to wipe your face when you get out with. Always a good idea.
Well, we did have that question about mold earlier, so that
Yeah.
could just help avoiding any water to be
Totally.
on the ground.
Yep,
Yeah,
totally.
The most that you can absorb, the better.
Yep.
Keep it cleaner. Makes life easier.
And we're having a float tank here.
I know, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
How's your arm feeling, Mason?
Not bad. See, how Shane did most of the work.
He's a state worker.
Our fearless leader.
Yeah.
One more.
So now again, just to recover, we will be able to provide salt. We've got all the shipping and everything taken care of.
Yeah, live freight quotes too, which is easy.
We've kind of taken the process out of it for you, from the tent to the salt.
What was that? I missed that.
I just said we've taken the hard process out for them, especially with the live freight quotes.
Yeah, that's a problem. Ordering salt. You don't want to wait. You don't want to wait for sure. You don't want to wait for a quote. You don't want to worry about fees and sell with the live freight quote. And most orders, unless they're huge, they're going to leave next business day. So it's a sweet way to get salt. It's zenfloatsalt.com. We linked over from our site to it for anyone who buys a tent.
The good thing about buying both is that it's coming from the same company, so most times your tent will arrive first and then your salt will be there maybe a day later.
Yeah, and you don't want to wait when you're that excited too. Oh yeah, it's cold.
So we've got
It's that ice cream effect.
we've got a great question from Monty again. Would the 240 heater system run cheaper on a monthly basis than the 120?
Ooh, that is an advanced question.
Thanks,
Holy
Monty.
moly. Mason, nice.
Um,
Good luck, man.
If you're using it in the United States, probably not. Really, it's just the voltage difference for international.
Are we
So
expensive power-wise compared to the rest of the world? I don't know how we are.
yeah, but I mean, you're going to be buying a converter to be able to convert,
Yeah.
the plug types and everything. So you're going to end up running the same amount either way, I believe. But yeah, I think overall it'd just be safer to run with the voltage that you.
Yeah.
And you can do things, externally that will help with your bill. You can add insulation to the top. You can add insulation to these sides right here. You can add insulation to your room if you wanted to. You can, do things like that to be able to help your heater pads work less hard. And that will save you some money for sure. So I would probably look into those options.
Another thing that's really nice too, as far as talking about heating pads, that sort of thing. The room, the air temperature in the room, when it's warmer than usual.
Sorry.
Excellent. You did that perfect. When the air in your room is warmer than usual, not to mention when air draws in, because there's a chimney effect when you're floating, the warm air goes up and out the top. But when the new air is rolling in, if the air is a little warmer, you won't feel any air come in. So it's good for that. And then that's also having the warmer room is going to be more efficient. I mean, you're running an air heater, but the heater pads will have to work less hard. Nice. So
we have a great comment from Kevin Strand, and he says, what about designing a stirring attachment to fix to an existing pole so people with back or joint issues don't have to be up and down a lot to dissolve the salt?
Oh, that's totally sump pump. So I wish we had one to show. Do we have a sump?
So Shane, if you wouldn't mind, will you re-explain a sump pump again, just in
Yes.
case Kevin missed it?
Totally. So a sump pump is it's just a little pump about this big. I'm sure they get a little bigger. But what it's designed for is when you have a flood in your house, you're going to attach a hose to the top of the sump pump. You're going to set the pump down in the flood, and it's going to get all that water out of there. You could drain a pond, drain your house, whatever. Well, basically what that is it's just a really high-powered water jet. So when you don't have a hose, you take the hose off the sump pump. You have this unit. You can put a sump pump in the water and just aim it, and it just jets the water around, mixes the salt in like effortless. Like you could just sit here like this, mixing it around. It's really easy, and if you have back issues, $35, no big deal, and it's easy mixing. Oh, that reminds me. Okay, we were gonna mention. So now and then people will have to move their tank into a different room of their house, or they move. And if you're going to run into that anyway, a sump pump is totally useful, because what you do is we wrote a blog on it, we can link to the blog, but you basically get a kiddie pool. This is when you're getting ready to move your float tent to another room or wherever. You get a kiddie pool, set it up, you get your sump pump with the hose, and you pump all your salt water out, because it's valuable. You paid $500 for the salt, it's in the water, you don't want to lose it. So you pump all your salt water into a kiddie pool, you move your tank wherever it needs to go, and then you just sump pump it back into your tent. So a sump pump's totally useful for that anyway. So it's not a bad purchase. It makes it so easy.
So Sean is asking, what does 800 pounds of Epsom salt cost?
So 800 pounds of Epsom salt is going to be about $432.
I rattled off 5 because of shipping, but go ahead. Sorry, man.
No, you're good. So yeah, it's going to be about $432. Not including shipping. Shipping is going to be a little bit more.
It's heavy.
It's heavy. It's going to be a freight shipment, so it's going to come on a big pallet. But the good thing about our site is you can just go to zenfloatsalt.com, and you can actually see a freight quote right there if you enter your zip code and state. So if you do that, you can definitely get a good idea of what it's going to cost. So.
Awesome. Thanks for the great question, Sean. And Kevin, I hope that helps. So definitely, again, look into a sump pump, about $35.
Yeah, Amazon had one overnight. It's so nice for mixing. I honestly, this is a little harder, but
I heard people use like brooms sometimes.
brooms.
Yeah.
I've used like a paddle.
Really?
Yeah.
And Jamie just went ahead and posted the link.
Oh, cool. Another thing, don't mix with anything that could puncture your float tent.
Yeah, don't use anything sharp.
Very bad.
You can't feel my hand, can you?
I'm used to it.
Now you notice why I'm holding the camera.
I can't feel my face.
It's all part of the experience.
It is. No, honestly, when you're excited, this is pretty fun.
Yeah.
Are your hands cold? You can crack back and I'll keep moving.
Jamie said she's also seen people use a meter stick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that totally works.
Yeah, it'll work really well.
You can seriously do anything that you'd like as long as it's not sharp. You have pretty much free reign. So
throw your kids in, let them run around and play.
Yeah, there you
We
go.
can have 4 bags.
Yeah, we're about good.
I'll try and get another
Hey,
angle.
you know, let's do a salt measurement to kind of show how that thing works.
Yeah, go for it.
Let me, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
All right, so I don't know what I would guess, but it's not going to be in the float zone yet. It's getting closer. See, make sure that's vertical to get an accurate measurement. I mean, we're coming in at 1.21-ish on our way to the float zone. And the float zone, I mean, it's not critical. You're going to add a cup every month. As you use your float tank, water evaporates, so your water drops. That increases, that increases the concentration. But as you add water, drops the float zone because it's more dissolved, diluted is the word. And then so every month you're just pouring in a cup of salt to keep it in the float zone. But it's really easy once the water is established. Just use it.
Right, we're getting there. So Sean asked about water changes.
Yeah.
Or can you leave the same water for some time?
Yeah. So honestly, we say a year, and that's with just average maintenance. If you maintained your water great, you showered well before you get in your tank every time. I mean, if you're an excellent water maintenance person, you could get easily a year and a half. We've had people get 2 years, but we say year standard if you're just maintaining average.
And then again, if you have any questions, please feel free to email Mason.
I haven't seen. Someone was telling me about floating was on Stranger Things.
Yeah, totally.
I didn't see it, but
Really?
is this
I
like
watched
what
the
they were
whole
up to?
season.
You watched the whole season?
Yeah.
I need to watch it.
All right,
Yeah.
Mason, fill us in.
Yeah, Mason saw it first.
So, it's kind of hard to explain because it's kind of a strange sci-fi thriller show. But
Is it Netflix?
Yeah, it's Netflix. They're trying to have this girl float, so she can kind of go to a different dimension type of thing. And so they go into their school gym, they get a big kiddie pool, and they do some funny things in it, but they go to the cafeteria and they get 1,500 pounds of table salt.
This is not table salt.
And
Do
they
not
add
use table salt.
And then they add the water. They measure the water and everything like that, and they put an egg in the tub to make sure the egg floats, to make sure there's enough salt. in
Wow, what an advanced way to test that.
it was just cool to see it on Stranger Things. You're like, wait a minute, I know what they're doing. I've seen that before.
It was on another. What was that show with that? There's a lady and she would get like her brain plugged in and then hop in a tank. It was recent. It'll come to me. I can't remember.
I know they kind of did that in Minority Report,
Minority
Yeah,
Report,
they
yeah.
feature it and they kind of amp it up a couple notches.
Yeah.
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 where they have them floating in the same.
Hollywood.
Sean just said, my coworkers just called me 11 because I'm watching this.
Yes.
That's the character's name in Stranger Things. The girl that floats is
9.
named 11. She's like a strange science experiment.
So they got her to float then.
And they got her to float.
And
And they put goggles on her. They put like science lab goggles, and they put like foam or something in it to make it black.
Okay.
What were they trying to achieve, did you say?
They're trying to get her. So there's this place called the Upside Down. It's like a scary alternate reality where this monster exists, and they were trying to get her to see where her missing friend was in the Upside Down.
Ah.
So
That's kind of cool.
So was she able to achieve?
yeah, she floated, and
Spoiler alert.
yeah,
That's
I
what
think it's been out for a few months. So
I don't want to be that guy. So as you can see, we're making a heck of a dent on getting the salt in there.
Yeah, 32, 25-pound bags, is that right?
Yep.
We're actually moving pretty quick. I don't know how many are left. Yeah, we're cruising, man. Pretty quick with you people.
yeah.
It's the pressure of doing it live.
Yeah. That
So
salt, that feels warm.
Yeah.
Feel free to
Because of how
comment
cold
if you've
it
got any questions or anything you want to know.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, and if you're not watching this live, ask questions in the chat anyway. We'll still answer them.
Monty just said he can't wait to get one.
Oh, dude, you're gonna love it. Honestly, the freedom of being able to float whenever you want, however long you want, whenever you feel like it. Like it's a freedom. If you're really into floating, you just can't beat it for real.
So we'll have you kind of multitask. Shane, can you talk about some of your personal experiences?
Yeah. What? Do you have?
I got a lot of them.
Yeah. Just like experience in general.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe
Yeah, what to
experience
expect.
in general.
Okay, so now this is years and years ago, but my first float tank I built out of Home Depot type materials, and I got a huge water fertilizer tank and I cut it in half. That was to make the tub. But I was so excited to float, and I was building the site isolation tank plans so that other people could build the tank like I was building. And I was so excited, and it took forever. And finally, when I got time, got the salt mixed in, got the water heated up, and I'm no joke, I watched that Joe Rogan video with all the art that flies around with all
Seen
his.
that one.
It's like the #1 float video.
Yeah.
I had watched that every night for 2 months, and I was like convinced that I was going to travel to Mars on my first float.
Really?
I thought I was gonna have a quite
Just
amazing
profound.
moment. Yeah. And got in, and I was so nervous. Like I was just like didn't know what to expect. I'd never been in an environment like that. Your body wants to see it, and it wants to hear it, and it wants to feel, and it doesn't. So if you're a really calm person, you might get in and have a great float your first time. But for a lot of people, you're gonna get in and just get comfortable.
Yeah, I didn't feel anything profound.
No, you're a little bit uneasy. You're trying to understand it all. And what's weird is before you're used to it, it feels like you're rotating backwards or you're spinning, and your brain's like, please give me some sort of sensory to find out where I'm at, what I'm doing. So that's first float. I don't want to set up expectations. What I am saying though is don't set them too high, because you're getting used to it. Second float, you're going to settle in, have a lot better time. I would say if anyone's going to try floating, go floating 3 times in a float center for sure. Because the third time you should be pretty well settled in and you should have a great relaxing time, and there's a great chance you might even have some of the more profound spiritual.
Yeah, and you'll know if it's something that you want to take on.
Yeah, that's what we always say that because in the beginning when we launched this product on Kickstarter, a lot of people bought the tank that hadn't even floated, and the people who buy this tank are the ones who want to float. At least weekly, and they love it, and they want to float all the time. That's who this is designed for. Otherwise, get into a center and just go floating. But 3 times, you are going to get a feel of floating for sure.
Float centers definitely serve a purpose.
Oh, they're awesome.
They really do cater to you.
It's a spa experience, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And my last float was at a float center because we don't have a tank set up here. And it was iFloat?
I float up in Ogden.
Yeah. What was that guy's name? He was awesome. He was a good dude.
I couldn't tell you right offhand.
I walked in and he's like, "You ever floated before?" And I'm like, "Yeah, a few times."
So Tyler's asking, how much do they start at for the cost? Meaning the tent itself.
$18.50.
$18.50 for the tent. Yep.
Yeah.
And then of course you'll need salt. So.
Now, what are shipping costs going to be on the $18.50?
So in the lower 48 United States, it's about $106 to ship anywhere, any state.
Hey, that's pretty exact.
Yeah, and then international, it just depends. We can get you a custom quote if you need to, though.
Yeah, international's a little different. Oh,
So Tyler, if you have any questions, just inquire.
we might make it. We should go for getting all the bags in. Want to go for it?
And then Angie's asking, could the liner ever burst?
Oh, that's a great question. So every single float tent that we sell has held 200 gallons of water, which that takes a lot of extra effort. But when we started launching this product, we're like, we can never have a tank burst. So these tanks are welded together, so the material's actually melted and fused together, and then it holds water overnight for 200 pounds. Then we dry it off, then we put it in a box, then we ship it. So it shouldn't ever burst. If you hopped in with something sharp,
Yeah.
it could burst. So yeah, you shouldn't be hopping in with anything sharp, but
So again, just user discretion.
yeah, no metal underwear.
No studded belt.
Yeah, studded belt.
Don't wear your shoes in the float tent.
Yeah, no shoes, no high heels.
But, I mean,
We're gonna make this.
there is serious comfort in knowing that each pallet has been tested.
Yeah, and it was a lot of extra work and effort
Yeah.
and cost, but it's like we wanted to be sure.
But well
That's
worth
not-
it.
Yeah, when I was prototyping, when we were prototyping tanks in my old house, I had a pinhole leak, and it sucked because then you have to pump the water out, figure out what you're gonna do, and so that was when it's like, we're gonna put water in every tank. So it's been really cool.
So a little shout out to Monty. He said he got a set of those prints the moment you put them up.
Oh no way!
Right,
Oh.
even before you came out with the 10.
That's
No
awesome.
way!
So you've got an old school follower here.
Dude, Monty, that's awesome, man.
Monty's an OG.
It was so shocking when I put the plans online, and all of a sudden people from around the world were like, dude, I'm gonna build this. I'm in like Canada, I'm in Florida, I'm in UK, and all of a sudden like people were sending me pictures of my Home Depot tank around the world. And I think there was a couple in a float center, but it was just so crazy. And that's when I was like, okay, people want to float. Ooh, that's a hard one.
Did you get any weird looks trying to order like a filtrate or a fertilizer bin?
A fertilizer bin?
Like the
Oh yeah. So that was funny. So when I
Breaking Bad.
when I was first ordering the fertilizer tank, and I was asking how big it was, they were so concerned because I was like, no, how do you know the gallons? Like how tall? Because I knew I needed to lay in it, and these people that were selling fertilizer tanks thought I was the weirdest dude ever, and I was probably. But then that was just a fertilizer tank. I'd go into Home Depot and I'd be like, I need to hinge a 200-pound toy chest, and the guy's like, why are you building a 200-pound toy chest? Or something that has that big of a lid. And I'm like, eh. And I was like, I have a garage, and I need garage threshold to make it waterproof. And I was just explaining things that made no sense to them, but it was easier than explaining what I was really doing. It was a funny process. That bag's hard. It should be stomped on.
So why don't we do this bag and then we'll test the water again and show them the pump.
Yeah,
I mean
sure.
the
We're gonna
salinity.
make it, dude. We're gonna have a full fill.
Awesome. This has gone quite well.
Let me we're gonna go get another bag.
Cool. Yeah, these are like the original salt bags, dude, from forever.
So Monty said he had a bad float at the last center. It was in a gym and you could hear the weights banging and the water level was too low and kept dragging at the bottom.
That sucks, man. So, most float center operators are awesome, and they're so concerned with making it right. But there's some float center operators that they don't really care, and they might not even really appreciate why you're in there to deprive the senses. But for the most part, float centers I've met, float center owners, they're just amazing people, and I'm not just saying that. Once someone wants to commit their life to helping people float, they are a certain type of person, for sure. I'm surprised, but it's awesome that we're going to make it all the way through.
Yeah.
So feel free to add your comments or if you have any questions, just add them and we'll try to answer as we go. Craig is wondering when your podcast is going to be available.
I don't know. It took me a year to get the art done, which sounds like an excuse. Craig's out in Tooele. He's a float center owner. Will, you're helping me. How long, man? Will's gonna produce it. He has a production company.
You want to introduce me?
Yeah. Oh yeah, hop on camera, man.
All
So Will is my official shadow. Say hi.
That's me.
He is the man, and he's helping me make everything happen. And he has Carter Arts, and that's who's going to produce the podcast.
So that'll be my production company.
Make all the creative decisions. Because what we're going to do, we're going to we're going to record craziness, chaos, interesting, weird, you name it. Will's going to kind of filter, put whatever he feels through, and then we have I call it the shitty committee. But not everything we record is going to air, and in fact we're going to have pretty high thresholds. It's got to be entertaining in the least, but this is the plan. I don't know if it's going to work, and I might get it way wrong, but that's okay. I think it's going to be fun. It's like a hobby.
We'll call it growing pains at first. I mean, of course, there's going to be some things that we're like, oh, I don't know if we should have ran with that.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the fun and the experience of life.
It's going to be cool, man.
And that's really where the shitty committee came from, because we want almost someone to...
Make sure...
Yeah, we're maybe on our own task. Shane and I have a tendency to kind of get long-winded and get overly fascinated.
Yeah, lost in the forest.
That's a great way to put it, lost in the forest.
Yeah.
So we've got our shitty committee all set up that's going to be like, okay, boys, you need to move on or change topics. So to answer the question as far as the podcast, we've got the art done, and we've got an artist that's going to be kind of working on our jingle.
Yeah.
As soon as that's done, we're really hoping within the month. But I appreciate the question.
Okay.
I appreciate the question because that's
Yeah.
even more motivation for us to get it going. You're spilling.
Bag.
Nice.
Thanks, Craig, for asking. Craig's a good dude. So Craig has a podcast, Energy is Love, I believe.
Oh, that's Craig.
Yeah.
Okay.
Craig.
We're on that one, right?
Yeah, it's a cool podcast. But let's post a link to the Energy is Love podcast too. Because he's got a float center and he's recording all sorts of interesting people. And it's, yeah, be sure and
We'll
throw
get
Craig
that
some
up.
love.
Yeah.
So we'll get that link put up there for the Energy is Love podcast. Shout out to Craig. And then just to see, we just got through all those bags.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're impressed.
What do you think we're at, like 9 inches, 8 inches?
Yeah, where's that amazing measuring device? Here it is.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. Shout out Sean on that one.
Yeah.
It's the chopstick of life. Oh, dude, 9. So
Just need
that's
to
all the
add
bags?
Yeah.
Let's add a little water and then we'll finish mixing.
Okay.
So once all of your bags of salt are in, you're good to take it right up to 10 inches, and 10 inches is the water level that you're going to keep it at forever. So now that we know all the salt's in, we know it's going to need all 10 inches of water to be able to blend in.
So now explain 10 inches. Is that because of the height of the tank, or is that what you found to be the perfect level to immerse yourself in?
Dude, great question. So 10 inches is just the level where you don't touch the ground no matter what. I tried to run my tank lower, but now and then I would skim the ground. My butt would touch or whatever. So 10 seems to be that safe zone where you're not ever going to touch. Good question though. That's why 10 inches, and that's why most of the time you hear people say 800 or 1,000. Bigger commercial tanks are 1,000 or 1,200 pounds. It just depends on how much water they can hold.
We're gonna go turn the water on.
Yeah,
You tell me when to turn it off.
yeah. So
You got your ruler?
yeah, I got the chopstick of life.
Okay.
200. When this thing's filled, which we're going to take it to 10 inches now, it's going to hold 200 gallons of water. I mean, that's with salt in it, but and this, when we released this product, it met every building code in the United States as far as weight per square foot. So this, I'm going to use this to make some salt.
Yeah.
You want to kind of watch the level?
Sure.
So Tyler asked again, how often do you have to replace the salt in the water?
Annual. I mean, I would try and get a year and a half out of mine.
Everybody's a little bit different. I would say at least a year and a half if it were me. A good indication that you need to change or it's time is you just can't get any of your levels to stay
Yeah.
even. If you're just dumping hydrogen peroxide in there and it just doesn't stay clean, then that's a pretty good sign that it's time to switch it out. So,
Yeah.
keep
So
an eye
again,
on
just
that.
keep monitoring your tank and the water.
Yep.
But the average is about a year. You can probably push it to a year and a half. As I mentioned earlier, some have gone 2 years.
Nate,
Nate went 2 years. Nathan Snyder.
and he floats daily. He's like the hardest core floater I know of, and he's had 2 years out of his water, and he maintains it right. So floating daily, getting 2 years, it's totally doable. You just got to be on it.
Now Monty's asking, what if you're a larger guy? Would 10 inches of water still be okay?
I haven't heard it. Do people touch? Have you heard that?
I haven't heard of anybody touching. I think just the sheer amount of salt that's in there is going to make you pretty buoyant. So
Great.
Yeah, I've never heard
I
of
think
someone
10
saying
inches
that.
is a good amount. One thing to keep in mind though, while it is full, it's 2,200 pounds. So if you're going to put it on a second level or if you're going to have it in your apartment, make sure to talk to your landlord or
Yeah.
make sure to have a professional come over to your house and just make sure your floor can support it. For sure.
Not to mention, if you're renting, your landlord's not going to know what the hell this is.
Yeah.
So might as well just get their good blessing.
So Tara did comment that yes, 10 inches is enough. She promises.
Cool. Yeah.
So thank you, Tara. It's always good to hear a testimonial.
Yeah, thanks, Tara.
What's Tara's name? I'm sure.
Tara Jenkins.
Sounds familiar.
We're getting close, man. Sorry, I lost your chops.
It's under your leg.
Oh, nice. I'm like the messiest person ever, by the way.
Okay.
Ooh, getting close.
About half there.
9.5 inches, baby. Man, Mason, you're working so hard.
I have to be on call for the water faucet. All right.
I like harassing you. How's my form? Good? Wax
Not
on,
great.
wax off, wax on.
I just want to mention that the numbers were rubbing off this ruler, so we should probably.
No, never leave the stick.
What do you think, bro?
So Monty's asking again, how much is your salt for a new fill?
$4.32 plus
$4.32 plus shipping.
Great.
48, it's like 106. Depends on the state.
You're looking for salt.
Yeah.
You're looking more about 200 at least.
Oh yeah.
For shipping. It's going to be a freight shipment, so there's going to be 35 bags of 25 pounds each on a pallet.
Hey, isn't sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead. It's totally off subject.
And we've got a drop gate service, correct? Put it right there at your house.
Yep.
Dude, is Monty the OG guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta show Monty something awesome. You wanna keep an eye?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go show him the lid.
Do you want to turn it off on your way?
Sure. Yeah. No, it's actually, I think it needs a little more time.
You got
Dude,
salt in
look
your
at
bread,
this.
but that's cool.
Okay, so I'm a little salty. You could do this so much more clean if you really paid attention.
Hey, we're at 10 inches, so
Turned off?
yeah.
Alright, cool.
You are covered in salt.
Yeah. Monty is gonna appreciate this, dude. What?
We're just covered. Like, just
Dude.
expect to be really crusty.
I made a whole mess. You could do it so much more clean, but I'm not about that.
You,
Alright.
you grabbing the cover?
Yeah, come with me.
Yeah, let's give you a little walkthrough. This is our warehouse.
Thanks. Hey, so this is. I couldn't keep the beast, my original DIY tank, so I just cut off the handle. It was insulated like a house. This is a farm fertilizer tank.
So this is Shane's original tent.
Just the handle, yeah, the original. Saved it. Mace, don't ever throw this away. It looks like trash.
I'll trash it tomorrow.
It's an heirloom.
Plexiglass.
Yeah, we're gonna plexiglass in like a
Lights
vacuum
and
seal
water.
chamber.
So Tara commented she's a huge float fan from Iowa. It's such a life-changing experience. I encourage all to try it at least 3 times, a
Hell yeah.
minimum.
That's awesome.
So thanks, Tara. We completely agree.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Minimum.
for so many people, it's completely life-altering. So I mean, if you haven't tried floating, you're potentially missing out on something huge.
Yeah.
So get into a center.
Says it's extremely inconvenient to get to his float place. He just needs to justify the cost and space to the husband to get it into the house. And Sean, we completely agree.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
I mean, going to the float center, not justifying it. That might be
It's kind of tough too.
that might be tough depending on who you're with. But
You can justify it, but sometimes you have to sell your partner.
the hardest thing for me was just like the drive home after I floated.
Yeah, because you're in the zone.
I don't want to drive. And it was across town, so it's 40 minutes.
Yeah, when a float center is close, it's so nice, but
Yeah.
if they're far away, it's kind of a pain.
And thanks, Tara. We love you too.
Yeah, thanks, Tara.
Yeah, thank you, Tara.
Water's still going there?
It's turned off.
Okay.
We have just a little bit left to mix. Did we cover most of the stuff we wanted to?
Yep.
Did you get a good shot of the water?
Yeah, we've hit the points. We've seen the water. Now it's time to
Bones, buddy.
capper.
Yeah, that was awesome. I didn't think we'd get all the way through.
We'll do more of these. I think I want to do more of like installation videos. So.
For sure. In fact, don't we have one next week? I don't know what it is, but we have something.
We do. So keep an eye out. We're going to be doing another one next Wednesday. So if you've got any questions or any things that you want us to cover, please feel free to add them to the site, the Facebook page, call up Mason. Like I said, he's the guru, so he'll try to answer. If not, then, his job depends on it.
Yeah. I
Fire.
mean, that wasn't hostile at all. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
That wasn't aggressive.
No.
Okay.
Again, bright orange shoes.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, you got to wear those on Wednesday.
I think Usain Bolt has these, so watch it.
Okay.
Ooh. What are you trying to say? You're fast?
All right. Well,
Okay.
anything else we want to cover?
That's it. See you later.
Man, later,
Okay,
guys.
thanks for
It was
watching,
awesome. I hope
everybody.
everyone enjoyed this.
Yeah.